Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome to another weekly meal prep. I've got some great meals for you this week to give you some menu inspiration. If you're totally new around here, when I do a weekly meal prep, I go through the 5 weekdays and I do my best to prep everything that I possibly can for those meals. And so we're going to start out with Monday today, of course, and we are going to do some pulled pork, some cauliflower mac and cheese, and a really fun mozzarella, tomato, cucumber salad situation. So we're gonna get it started off by putting this cauliflower in the oven to roast. And technically, I actually started this prep last night because I wanted to make sure that my pulled pork would be done. So I put it into my, I want to say slow cooker, but it's not technically a slow cooker. It's my pressure cooker on the slow cooker setting. And I just left it in overnight. And I just topped it off with a little bit of smoked paprika, some salt, a little bit of barbecue sauce, nothing fancy, just what I had on hand. And then I put it on low all night. And we are going to be pulling it apart here in a bit. This week is a really busy week for me, so I'm actually splitting my prep into 2 days. And I get a lot of questions about this, you know, prepping everything in one day versus prepping it through the week. I just like to get as much done in the shortest amount of time, making my kitchen messy the fewest amount of times in a week that I can. And so usually I try to do it all in one day, but like I said, this week it's going to end up happening over 2 days, which is fine. I'm going to line this baking sheet with some paper. Even if it doesn't cover the entire sheet, it at least helps out with the dishwashing. And I'm always thinking about the cleanup, as I just said, with cleaning up my kitchen and making sure that I don't have to clean things that I don't have to clean. As usual, all of the recipes will be linked in the description box. And you all, this recipe, oh my goodness. I have made mac and cheese, cauliflower mac and cheese, whatever you like to call it, before. But this is the best recipe I have ever made. And it's working with some Gruyere cheese in the sauce. And I honestly think that that was the absolute cherry on top with this cheese sauce. I will forever be making my cheesy cauliflower this way. Absolutely 10 out of 10. So good. My family absolutely loved it. So one of the tricks that helps this recipe out so much is you roast the cauliflower before putting it into the cheese sauce. I think a lot of recipes call for steaming it. And number one, it makes the cauliflower pretty soft. And number two, it really adds a lot of moisture, making the whole dish very watery. Whereas if you roast it, you're actually taking moisture out of the veggie and it's leaving it a bit more like a pasta texture, which was perfect. I love this. And of course, you can really make this your own by just roasting it as long as you want to. So if you want it to be really, really soft, you can roast it longer. If you want it to be more on the crunchier side, you can roast it for less time. We are going to make the cheese sauce to go on the cauliflower mac and cheese. But first, I want to say a thank you to Sierra Gadgets for sponsoring this week's video. You all have been leaving me comment after comment, wanting to know where I've gotten this cooktop. It's from Sierra Gadgets, and there's so much I love about it. I love the flexibility of being able to cook wherever I want to. There is a timer, and it goes up to 4 hours so I can multitask and get other things done. It's such a game changer. I have been loving it. Plus, it comes in this fantastic color and it heats my food 50% faster than traditional stoves, saving me time, which you all know is important. Another feature that's really cool is the burner heats only within the diameter of your pan, so no energy is being wasted. I love the simplicity of the touch control and temperature control. I can just adjust everything as I am cooking. I have also been using their knife set non-stop, as you guys have been seeing in all of my videos or most of my videos. The ergonomic design of the knives makes them so so comfortable to use even after hours of cooking like I do with these weekly meal preps. It's been a couple of months now that I have been using this knife set, and it is still so sharp. It is the best knife set I have ever had, and I've had quite a few in my day of meal prepping and cooking, and I just can't say enough good things about them. It's always the knife that I am reaching for and wanting to use whenever I'm in the kitchen. You will be seeing me use the cooktop and the knife set throughout this video, but I just wanted to highlight them here because I truly have been loving them. So you guys can get your hands on this cooktop, and it comes in other colors as well, so you can find the color that fits your style best. Cooking with an induction cooktop like this is up to 90% energy efficient, which is a huge difference from gas and other types of cooktops. It can boil 2 liters of water in just 5 minutes. So it is super fast and energy saving. Again, you can find all this info in the links in the description box below. Once you have heated the cream, the broth, and you've put the cheese in, you're going to let this all simmer a bit, but you really want to keep whisking so that nothing sticks and you don't end up with burnt cheese sauce. Once it's all melted together, I actually turned off the heat. Since my cast iron does hold a bit of heat, I am able to turn it off and do all of this, but you may, if you're not using a cast iron, you may want to just simply turn it down to the lowest setting on your burner, just so you have a little bit of heat to keep that cheese sort of melty. So I'm going to add in the cauliflower, and it's just beautiful. Oh my goodness, absolutely delicious. You could also roast the cauliflower longer than I did, just to get more of a charred, those brown little bits and pieces for more of a roasted flavor, but so delicious. And for us, because we eat a lot of gluten-free things in our house, we have a few family members that have to eat that way, we can just use this as a base to pile the pulled pork onto, which just is a match made in heaven. So I'm going to put this into a greased baking dish. This is a piece of stoneware that I thrifted. I love this piece. And then I'm going to top it off with a little bit of cheese that I did not add into the cheese sauce. I just kind of eyeballed it, probably about 25% of the cheese I used for the topping. Next, we're going to head into that cucumber salad. This was also a smashing hit in my house. In fact, the day after we ate this meal, I went to the refrigerator looking for leftovers of this salad, and I was asking my family members where the leftovers were, and they told me that they ate them all. So it was enjoyed, and it's something I can definitely make again, especially with the warmer months coming. If you guys have watched my channel for years, you know when it comes to summertime, I really enjoy those cold salads and just making the more refreshing recipes like this one. So I know that this one will be loved for picnics and just those warm summer night meals. Okay, so we've got some tomato going into this. We have some little mozzarella pearls, and I actually just got some that were already seasoned, and I thought it might just add a bit more flavor to this dish, but you could definitely just get the mozzarella pearls that have no marinade or seasoning on them. And I chose to cut mine a bit smaller just because I felt like it fit better with the size of my tomato pieces and my cucumbers, and it just kind of spread the mozzarella throughout the salad a bit better. Depending on the size of your mozzarella and your salad, you can choose how you would like to do that. Next, we're going to add some green onion, some oil, and some balsamic vinegar, a bit of basil, and a bit of oregano, a little bit of salt in there as well. And you will mix this all together. In the original recipe that you'll find below, I believe she put purple onion or red onion, whatever you like to call it, into this. And I don't know. I've been on a little bit of a kick in the last year of not really enjoying a lot of raw onion. I know that it's something in the past I've liked, but just haven't really enjoyed it, so I've been avoiding it. So the green onion was a bit more of a tame flavor to put into it over the purple onion. And next, I'm just showing how I'm pulling apart this pulled pork. guys, if you have been afraid to make pulled pork or pork roast, whatever you like to call this, everybody has so many different names. That's why I usually give several different names for certain dishes or what I'm doing, because sometimes I get comments like, this is what this is called and this is what that is called. But it is very simple to make pulled pork. Don't be afraid of it. Definitely give it a try. So Tuesday, we're going to make a creamy smothered chicken that's going to go over rice along with roasted carrots and peas. We love peas in our house. We eat them at least once a week and sometimes twice a week. Honestly, they're just a family favorite. And especially when we're eating something really creamy, that goes well with peas. And so this dish had to have peas with it for sure. But I'm going to roast up some carrots, and I feel like every week that I roast carrots, and I do it about once a month. I really need to do it more than that because I forget how good they are, and then I make them like this and my family just eats them in 2 seconds. It makes the carrots so sweet when you roast them on a roasting pan like this, and it just brings out that natural sugar that the carrots have. And I also like to top it off with a little seasoning as well. I chose the buttery steakhouse seasoning. You all know that's going to show up somewhere in my video. I use it with veggies so often. It just pairs so well with veggies. And then I pop that into the oven. While that was in the oven, we are going to get started on the main dish. So we're going to start off by taking some chicken breasts and I'm slicing them thin. Again, love my Sierra knives because this makes this job so easy. I can just slice it and it goes right through it like butter. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm slicing them nice and thin and I'm just going to fry them in some olive oil. Again, just seasoning them a bit. This time I'm using the garlic parmesan seasoning, which is now in competition with the buttery steakhouse seasoning in my house. We have been loving that on everything. So I'm just going to fry up the chicken until it's nice and brown. I like a little bit of that golden look on my chicken, so it's more of a grilled chicken style. And then after that, we're going to set those aside on a dish and we're going to get started in on our cream sauce. You all have watched me make this many times, but it's always good to show because I think it's just a staple skill in the kitchen to be able to make a cream sauce like this. And I always use gluten-free flour. I know that traditional recipes use regular flour, but gluten-free 1-for-1 measurements work the same way as regular flour for dishes like this. So in case you need to know that info, you're going to add in the seasoning and also the milk as well. And we're just going to whisk all of this together. And this dish was just so good. I think partially because I have a mega love of rice. And so any dish with rice, we are going to love it because it's just so delicious. I honestly could eat just rice every day. I just enjoy it that much. So here we're adding in the cheeses, and I did shred those off camera, but I do like to shred my own cheese. I just find that it makes a better sauce. So there's a tip for you. If you're melting cheeses and you're seeing me do this twice in this video, then I would recommend to shred your own cheese because I feel like the stuff that they put in to the pre-shredded cheese to keep it from sticking together prevents the creaminess or makes the creaminess not as great. So shredding your own cheese is definitely the way to go if you're going to be making a sauce with it. Next, I'm going to be making up some long grain rice that we will be eating with this combination. This all just worked together so well. I'm also using my homemade chicken broth, which you all are probably going to see me canning very soon because I'm really low on that. But here you can see the finished dish and how beautiful this was. It was just so creamy, paired so well with that long grain rice. Such an easy meal for a weeknight for sure. Next, we're moving on to Wednesday. This is the garlic honey sheet pan meal, and then I will be doing a side salad with this meal. We do that, I try to do that about twice a week, that we have side salads just to get those greens in. And this was such a pleasant surprise. In fact, My husband doesn't always like sheet pan meals. I make them a lot, yes, but they're just not his fave. And he even commented at how absolutely delicious this was. I think the garlic honey, just bringing that kind of like sweet flavor to the broccoli and the sweet potato, it just hit so well. So I'm definitely keeping this one on my list of things to remake. And of course, you all are going to see me tearing apart the broccoli, because when you use a knife with broccoli, it just makes a massive mess. And usually I'm finding little pieces of broccoli on my kitchen floor for weeks and weeks if I use a knife. And so I just like to tear them apart. Same with cauliflower. If you just tear them into little florets, they hold together better in your recipe. You don't have little bits of the broccoli pieces all through your recipe. They kind of stay more in those little florets. And so that is why I rip them all apart. Next, we are going to go ahead and use a turkey sausage. And you could change this up. You could really use any type of sausage that you're able to slice. And I felt like that the turkey sausage really paired well again with that garlic honey flavor that we're going to be whipping up here in a second. So you're just going to add all of this to a nice big mixing bowl. This is what makes sheet pan meals so simple. You're going to add in soy sauce, or the alternative that we like to use is coconut aminos. It's just has a little bit more health benefits to it. Then I'm using some raw local honey, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and then you are going to mince up those garlic cloves. They are just, it all just works together so well. And honestly, I did think about it later that we could have also paired rice with this meal as well. But I just decided we were going to have rice 2 other meals this week. So I just decided to leave the healthy carbs at the sweet potatoes that are in this, and it all worked out just fine. So once you've got your garlic minced, which I love that rocking mincer, by the way, I will try to remember to leave it linked below, mainly because my dishwasher can clean it really well, and it just makes cleaning a little more simple. So you're going to whisk all of that together and then pour it over top of the veggie and sausage mixture. And then after that, you're just going to stir it all up, just really making sure that the sauce or the marinade, whatever you want to call it, is more mixed in and really gets into the broccoli really well. I felt like the broccoli took a bit more to absorb some of the sauce, so I just really had to stir it well. I like to line my baking sheets, and then we are going to go ahead and just spread everything into an even layer and then bake it up, and it's just that simple. Thursday, we are doing a healthy chicken parmesan with mini potatoes and green beans. Honestly, it has been a long time since I have done a chicken parmesan meal like this. And I think in the past I've tried to make it, but I felt so overwhelmed by the idea of it. I feel like there's just so many steps to it. So this recipe felt very simple and easy, manageable to do. So you're gonna start out by slicing the chicken thin, and then I used a tenderizer to just flatten it out really well. The main reason for this is because you are actually going to make this in a fairly quick amount of time. And so you wanna make sure that that chicken gets totally cooked all the way through. And I do recommend using a meat thermometer. I use that almost every time I cook chicken. I just find that if I'm guessing, I often overcook my chicken because I'm afraid it's not done and then it gets dried out. So if I can check the temp, I can catch it right as it's getting done, and I don't have to worry about it not being cooked the whole way through. So you're going to create 3 dishes here to make your chicken pieces. One's going to have flour in it, and again, I use the 1-for-1 gluten-free flour. You're going to have eggs in one, and then the third one is going to have breadcrumbs, your Parmesan cheese, and a few other ingredients. And so what I used was gluten-free breadcrumbs, and just made sure that all of it was friendly for our household. I don't think that it calls for gluten-free breadcrumbs, but I just made that swap myself. And then you're gonna lay everything out on a baking sheet, and you're going to make this in the oven. And it does need to be flipped over about halfway through, but honestly, I was so pleased with the texture of these, as you will see here in a moment. To go along with that, we're going to do the small potatoes. I love these little mini potatoes. I make them fairly often. My family really enjoys them. And when I can get the multicolored ones, I definitely do. They just bring some extra color and interest to your dinner plate. And so here I am cutting them into 4 pieces because of the size. And then I'm just making these super simple. We're just gonna put a little bit of oil, a little bit of seasoning, toss them, and put them in the oven to roast. You all know the other way I like to make these is into smashed parm potatoes, where you boil the whole mini potatoes and then you take a glass and you smash them out, drizzle them with olive oil, and add in the little pieces of Parmesan, and it's so good that way, but we have also enjoyed them this way. And you're gonna see me here flipping over the pieces of chicken, and so that they can get kind of crunchy on both sides, get all of those brown bits, and just cook evenly. That's the goal with these guys. So since we are meal prepping this meal, I'm actually not going to complete the chicken this day because I have a way that I want to reheat everything for the day that we're gonna eat it. And I think this is a question I get probably the most when it comes to doing these meal preps is how do you reheat stuff? And my number one recommendation is definitely to reheat in an air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, invest in one if you're gonna be doing meal prep, because it makes your food, a lot of foods, not all, but a lot of foods taste like you just made them and they aren't soggy or dried out, if you're versus doing it in the microwave or in the oven. Doesn't mean we don't use those options at times, but definitely using a air fryer is probably the peak way to reheat stuff. So with this meal, we're also going to be having green beans, as you see here. So I'm putting them in a dish that we can reheat then. And here is the finished product of the chicken before I make it on the night that we eat it. I decided to include clips of the finished product of this. So here you're gonna see me reheating it. I'm putting it in my air fryer basket and just putting it into the air fryer, and we're gonna crisp it up in there just on the reheat setting. And then I'm drizzling it with the marinara sauce. I'm gonna top it off with that cheese, that mozzarella, that yummy stuff. And I'm gonna pop it back in the air fryer for a few minutes until it is complete. And there you have Thursday's meal. Friday, we are going into some ground beef enchiladas. I'll be making some rice on the night that we're eating this, and then we're also going to have side salads this night as well. You guys, to be honest, I've always been more of like the chicken and sour cream enchilada kind of gal, and I decided to go ahead and make these. If I've made beef enchiladas, it's been years, like quite literally years since I have made beef enchiladas. Usually we just end up doing the chicken ones, so I just decided to change it up and to do the beef version this time around. So I wanted something simple. A lot of times till I'm through prepping all of these meals, Friday gets something simple because I'm tired after I'm done doing all of this, and so we're just gonna go with something easy. So you're just starting out by browning some meat with some onion and garlic. And then you're gonna add in some black beans, and I'm just using some of the black beans from my food storage. We're gonna add some frozen corn kernels. You could do the sweet corn that a lot of people freeze, but they're just really small kernels, and so I like to get the bigger kernels that sort of pop in your mouth when you bite into them. And then you're gonna add some seasonings, and I'm adding some mineral salt to this as well. You're gonna stir everything together. You've got cumin and chili powder in there just to add those sort of Southwest flavorings. And then I am grating some cheese. This is a Colby Jack, I believe. If you guys remember, I got this a while back in one of my bulk food shopping trips. And as you can see, it has lasted quite a while. We are able to use it in so many different ways, sandwiches or in recipes like this. And I'm using some gluten-free flour tortillas. This recipe actually called for using some corn tortillas, but I couldn't find the larger corn tortillas. I do think that they're something that's available. It's just I couldn't find them at my store, so we just went ahead with this type of tortilla, and honestly they worked out great. I feel like the gluten-free tortillas are on the thinner side, and so it seemed to make a good substitution for some corn tortillas. So you're gonna just line them up and load them up, then you're gonna drizzle them with the enchilada sauce. I just went for something simple, and then I did serve this, like I said, with rice. So we just put this on top of our rice, we added a little sour cream, some hot sauce, and that was that. Thank you guys so much for watching today. If you are new here, subscribe. It's free and it supports my channel. Comment below. Let me know which meal you were most inspired by. I love hearing from you all. Thank you for all the love that you show to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.